probably say that we're not going to have an electoral tie. We kind of flirted with that from time to time. That would be 269 votes to 269. I'm adding and subtracting here. I can't find a way that that comes out.
Bob Schieffer. It's 231 Gore, 229 Bush, with 270 needed to win. Our CBS News election coverage on this exciting, very interesting presidential election night will continue after these messages.
Today, we're going to get a testimonial from a satisfied Dollar Rent-A-Car customer. He's agreed to tell us how he found a low rate on the perfect car. And he'll tell you all about how Dollar's award-winning website made renting a car the easiest part of planning his vacation. Here he comes now. Let's hear what he has to say. That about says it all. So when you're planning a vacation, find out how far Dollar's low rates can take you.
Get together with SkyTel. Buy the new T900 and get a $50 rebate. 1-800-SkyTel-5.
While paramedic Dave McLeod checked the equipment before the day's first call, someone else was on Realtor.com helping Dave's family search for their first home. Later, as he was racing to his sixth call, someone else was at the bank reviewing Dave's mortgage. And while Dave was helping deliver a healthy set of twins who couldn't wait for the hospital, someone else was delivering his cashier's check to the title company. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're Realtors. Real estate is our life.
He's one of the most decorated Green Berets in history. Now this colonel stands accused of murdering his wife.
What did you kill her with, Colonel?
I did not kill her.
But could this American hero be the target of a plot to destroy him?
I loved her. I still love her.
Who killed the colonel's wife? 48 hours, Thursday.
The needle hasn't moved. It's Gore, 231, Bush, 229, with 270 Electoral College votes needed to win. And the Electoral College map looks like this at this hour. All the states in red belong to George Bush. All the ones in blue to Gore. The ones in white are places where the polls have closed, and there's no decision yet. Alaska, the polls are due to close in about 17 minutes. Ed Bradley, let's look over this Wisconsin race. 11 possibly decisive electoral votes there. The polls have been closed in that state for a very long time. What's happening?
You know, I can tell you the what. I'm not sure about the why, Dan. It's a little tricky. If you look in Wisconsin, union houses there are about 32% of the vote. And while in other states, Al Gore was winning 60% and more in many of those states of the union vote, in Wisconsin, he's getting only 53% of that vote. Why there, I'm not really sure. But one other thing we're seeing is that the tax cut proposals put forward by George W. Bush are hitting a good chord, a sympathetic chord with the middle class, and they are voting for Bush based on that, it seems.
Ed Bradley, with 270 electoral votes counts needed to win, it's Gore 231, Bush 229. Stay right here with us. Things could move anytime. We'll be right back.
There's always a combination of taking your knowledge and applying it. For example, I know who the shooter is. I know what he does, what he thinks, under stress, how he'll act, what's his favorite thing to do, what's his least favorite thing to do. And I got most of my rebounds before he took the shot.
Knowledge is the edge. At Invesco Funds, it's the approach we use to make money for investors. You should know what Invesco knows.
Hello? Server? Got it.
total participation. And this means everyone, all working to make sure you get the absolute best experience possible.
Mr. Thurber, you're all set.
5-star. So demanding, only our best retailers make the cut. It's better. We'll prove it. Only where you see these signs.
Samsung joyfully introduces the world as you make it, where our digital technology has one job: to make life more fun. We want to thrill you, connect you, charm you, satisfy you, delight you.
Everyone's invited
To the Samsung digital experience.
Friday, the fugitive becomes a hostage. You want me? You're gonna have to kill me. And you'll never guess what happens next. All new Fugitive. Then, the victim of the perfect murder
I heard his bones. What a rush.
is about to get justice. Who are you? An all new CSI. And they survived the island.
Hey, neighbor.
But can these castaways survive a night with Nash? An all new Nash after the fugitive and CSI CBS Friday.
Gore leads Bush 231 to 237. Arizona dropped for President Bush. He picks up 8 electoral votes there. And now Bush has 237, Gore 231 with 270 needed to win. We've said it before, say it again. This is a back and forth, knock 'em down, get up, come back race. Bush now leads 237 to 231, and there has to be a sigh in the Gore camp because they were hoping against hope that they just might get Arizona. It generally goes Republican. The Republicans were expected to win it with a race this close. They were really hoping to get Arizona this late in the night. Not going to happen. The Gore people will be sighing and frowning. The Bush people will be smiling, but it's not over. But Bush now leads 237 to 231, having picked up Arizona's 8 electoral votes. 270 needed to win. So the map now looks this way. And by the way, Arizona's another state because it's blinking. That tells you that the Democrats carried it in 1996. They didn't this time. Same is true as Nevada. Same is true of Louisiana and Missouri and Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. All states that the Democrats carried last time and that George Bush has carried this time. So Bush jumps out to the lead in the Electoral College, 237 to 231, having picked up Arizona's 8 electoral votes. That leaves on the map in the white. Let's go back to the map if you can, please. Florida with 25 electoral votes. Nobody knows how this is going to go. Arkansas, 6. Iowa, 7. Wisconsin, 11. Washington, 11. Oregon, 7. And the polls are about to close in Alaska, which is as close as you can get to Republican cinch, but we don't know yet. Alaska has 3 electoral votes. Now, that's how it stands at the moment. Other highlights of the night: Hillary Clinton's won a Senate seat, a hold on for the Democrats in New York. Chuck Roberts lost a Senate seat, a drop for the Democrats in Virginia. Looks like the Republicans may retain control of the Senate. Don't know yet. Could wind up to be 50-50 in the Senate. In the House, too early to say, might be shaded a bit toward Republicans holding on to control of the House as well. We're going to talk to Leslie Stahl about the governor's races, but first we're going to take this commercial break. Then we'll come back and talk about the presidential race and the governor's. Back at CBS News presidential election headquarters, Bush, on the strength of carrying Arizona, has soared back into the lead. He now has 237, Gore 231 with 270 electoral college votes needed to win. Leslie Stahl, quick check on the governor's races.
Dan, we have verdicts in 3 more state houses. No party turnover so far tonight in governor's races. In North Dakota, a Republican-leaning state, the Republican John Hoeven has beaten the Attorney General Heidi Heitkamp. She got breast cancer in the middle of the campaign. She's lost tonight. In Utah, another Republican-leaning state, the popular Republican incumbent Governor Mike Leavitt has won re-election tonight. And in the state of Washington, another popular, this time Democratic incumbent Gary Locke has won re-election. He's the first Asian American governor in U.S. history.
Leslie Stahl. In the presidential election, Bush 237, Gore 231 with 270 electoral college votes needed to win. 6 states too close to call. Alaska will have the polls close in just a few minutes. Alaska has 3 electoral votes. It's shaded toward Bush, but he's not there yet. Election night on CBS.
The next mark.
Alaska goes for Bush, gives him 240 electoral votes. Gore has 231. It is not over. Those are among the CBS News election night headlines of the hour. It's the Late Late Show here on election night. The polls are now closed everywhere. Todos. Round and round it goes. Who gets the electoral vote when and from exactly where? Nobody knows. But this is what's still hanging out there. Florida, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Oregon, Washington, and Iowa. We'd call them the decisive 6. At midnight in the East, this is the all-important electoral vote count at this moment. 240 for Bush, 231 for Gore. It takes 270 to win. Here is the national popular vote at this moment. 49% to 48%. Both have about 34 million votes. With the polls now closed in Alaska, the voting is all over. The waiting isn't. Let's take a look. Alaska's, the last of the states to have polls closed. Alaska's 3 electoral votes go Republican, go for Bush, as expected. Now, 6 states too close to call. We want to show you the actual tabulated votes in the 6 states that are still out there. These 6 states include Florida with 25 electoral votes. This is how it looks in Florida at the moment. Bush has a 50 to 48% lead. How much of that comes from the absentee ballots, we can't say, but the Bush people all along, even when Florida earlier had been called for Gore, said, we think the absentee ballot's going to overtake him. Maybe, maybe not. This is the way it looks right now. And that's with 82% of the precincts reporting. Let's move now to Arkansas. 6 electoral votes there. Gore leads 48 to 47% in Arkansas. Then we move on to Wisconsin. 11 electoral votes in Wisconsin. If we can get it up, this is how close the race looks in Wisconsin at this hour. Gore leading in Wisconsin, 48 to 47. Nader is tearing up Gore in some states that Gore almost absolutely had to have, and Wisconsin is one of them. However, this state is undecided. It's 11 electoral votes are still up for grabs. Now we move on to Iowa. 7 electoral votes in Iowa. The polls have been closed for a long time. Gore leads in Iowa 49% to 48% in the struggle for the 7 electoral votes in Iowa. In Oregon, a state where what many thought might be Ralph Nader's strongest state, the polls closed in Oregon about an hour ago, a little more than an hour ago. Bush leads Gore 48-46 with Nader 4% of the vote. That's with 40-some-odd% of the precincts reporting. So Oregon's the 7 electoral votes right at the moment on the basis of actual votes in and counted is shaded toward George Bush, but too early to say that Bush is in fact going to carry Oregon. And the last of our decisive 6, the state of Washington, 11 electoral votes up there in the Evergreen State. And this is how close it looks in Washington if we can get the actual vote totals up. Gore leads in Washington 49 to 47% with 3% going for Nader. 11 electoral votes. Now, Ed Bradley, with these 6, what we call the decisive 6, if we can get them up on the map so people can see the states in white on our map, these are the states, Florida, Arkansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, Washington, and Oregon. Al Gore doesn't have to run the table on those states if he carries Florida.
If he doesn't, he does have to run the table. But you look at some of the things that are important to voters in all of those states that you mentioned, Dan, qualities like honesty, Bush wins. Qualities like strong leadership, again, Bush wins. Qualities like good judgment, Bush wins again. In all of these states that you're talking about. And you say, how close is this race? Just looking at these numbers now, in Florida with 82% of the vote actually counted, and they've had about 4.5 million votes. They're roughly about 100,000 votes apart in Florida.